deserve it, let's be honest. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Just Another Struggling Writer, the beleaguered author's one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I am just another struggling writer. Well, today is the start of another writing vlog, but before we get started, I must confess that this week has gone pretty abysmally for me in terms of writing. Today's actually Thursday. Yes, Thursday, November 6th at about 20 after 9 in the evening. As you may know from my past content, I usually like to start these vlogs on Monday. And while it is possible to write without filming, reader, I fear I did not do either. And look, while last Monday I feel like I had a pretty decent excuse to not write and I had accommodated for it mentally, this week I did not have the same excuse. On Monday, unfortunately, when I came home from work, I fell down the TikTok rabbit hole. There is a reason why I have that app hidden from my home screen, so whenever I want to open it, I need to actually search for it, and it's because I am prone to falling down rabbit holes. And then really the only reason I even still have it on my phone is because I want to post on it. And so on Monday, I was looking something up. I think it was something from my own video even. And yeah, the algo got me. It got me good. The very first video on my For You page was like from Carrie Cakes, or Carrie Can Read. She's a big booktuber here if you're not familiar with her. And it was a video about how someone was like stealing her thumbnails and then like slapping an AI model over her face and then using it to make like AI content. And it was like so weird. And I was like, whoa, fascinating. And then the next video played and the next video. And then I looked up and it was like 4 hours later and it was almost 1 o'clock in the morning. And my partner was literally dragging me out of my recliner to go to bed because I was still up. Yeah, it was bad. Not an excuse. Not to worry, I thought I'll just get back on top of it tomorrow, but then unfortunately on Tuesday what happened was I was so tired from staying up late the night before that I fell asleep at like 9:30. It was pretty bad. And I laid down on the bed ostensibly to brainstorm, and really I think in my heart of hearts I knew I was just going to sleep because I like got my jammies and everything. Anyway, it was just not good. And then Wednesday was the sort of day where I probably wouldn't have written anything anyway, just because it was just a very full day and a very mentally busy day. I started my day with a meeting, and then I had a business lunch, and then I had a clinical trial appointment, which really stressed me out. It ran long, and anyway, it was a lot of stuff. And then in the evening, my daughter had her weekly appointment. And so it was just going from thing to thing to thing, and it was just a lot. So like I said, even if I had written on Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday was a day where I probably would have skipped anyway. It just so happened to fall on a day that followed 2 other non-productive days. So, you know, when it rains, it pours. So all is not totally lost with this week, however. Number one, I have learned something very, very valuable. And it is that I can use time in the morning from between the time I get out of the shower and the time I need to start getting ready to edit videos. I have been having a hard time scheduling time to edit. And I mentioned in last week's video that editing has become kind of a bellwether on whether or not I'm mentally feeling okay. And so I want to make sure that I'm staying on top of it. I was starting to see that it really isn't the editing right now that is making me avoid it. I'm not avoiding it at all. It's just that there's just not enough time in the evenings. And so I sat down a couple of days this week and did a little bit of the editing. And this morning I was like, I can squeeze out between 25 and 45 minutes every morning of editing. And if I do that every day, I can stay on top of it. And so anyway, it was just a useful thought to have, because otherwise I'm just on my phone doing like the New York Times word games. But anyway, that brings us to today, Thursday. As you may recall, last week I talked a little bit about my ambition to actually commit to finishing this draft in the season of fall, as was my original goal at the beginning of Finish Your Book Fall. But to do that, the math says that I need to be writing 12,500 words a week. Last week, I did not accomplish that at all. I think I maybe got like 2,500 words. And obviously this week is not going much better, but it is still possible. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. If I write 2,000 words today and 2,000 words tomorrow, and then 4,000 words on both Saturday and Sunday, that will get me there. Almost there. I need 500 words between all of that to get to 12,500. But the point is it's possible. Moreover, it's not impossible. I have written 10,000 words in a weekend before. It was really like 10,000 words in 36 hours. So it is possible. It is very, very possible that I can do this. I do have the kids this weekend, so there is that. I do want to go to the bookstore. I haven't been in a while, and I've got some clinical trial money, and I've just had a shitty week, so I deserve it. Let's be honest. So there are some components here working against me, but I think I'm going to go for it. I have given myself a little bit of a head start for today. I did get back into the draft this afternoon on my lunch break and managed to get almost 500 words. I think it was like 460 or 480. I am still kind of struggling with this B plot. In the times that I have not been writing this week, I have still been trying to brainstorm and think through how I'm going to proceed with this B plot, and more specifically, this element of the B plot, which is like the backbone of the B plot. It is not changeable. It is not removable. It has to be there. However, I have just been really struggling to think of a way to integrate it into this new version of the plot. I had a way to do it in draft 1, but I have completely revamped and changed the first half of Act 2 in this draft. And in so doing, I did not really account for a way, not a great way, for this element of the B plot to be integrated, which is a problem. I have spent the last several days kind of really digging deep and thinking about it. The good news is I've got an idea. The bad news is I don't really love it, but I am also to the point where I cannot stay in this moment any longer. I have got to move on. I just don't want to lose any more time worrying about it. And so I'm really, 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 really counting on getting just a great idea while I'm drafting. I think most writers probably have experienced this, but like I'm counting on being mid-sentence and the idea just coming to me and just being like, oh, that's perfect, of course. The kind of idea that you can only get when you're mid-sentence, you know? It's that kind of like writer magic that is not predictable and is not really tangible. It's just something that happens. And yes, that is a very nebulous thing to be pinning all my hopes and dreams on, but we're going for it because I cannot waste any more time. So I was in it this afternoon. I did about 500 words. I do need to be moving on out of the sequence. So I can't remember if I talked about the other thing that I had decided. I think I came up with this idea in these last 3 days and I didn't talk about it in the vlog. What if I did? Oh well. The other thing that I've decided to do is I was worrying last week about the midpoint not being in the midpoint anymore because it's just this first half is getting too long. I've been dwelling on it and thinking about it, and I think I'm going to leave it the midpoint, and I'm just going to cut out another scene / chapter / sequence. I thought about it, and it's really not necessary. I can accomplish everything I was going to do. Basically, the main character was going to be introduced to the rest of the team that's working on this mission with her, because like she started at this secret government agency and immediately was like, okay, we need to get you up to speed, like training wise, so that you could actually be useful in this mission. So she's been like thrust into like this one-on-one training and hasn't really gotten a chance to meet the rest of the team. So I wanted her to meet the rest of the team. However, again, I just don't think I have time for that anymore. So she's just going to have to like meet them on the job. And that has gotten me thinking a lot about how like sometimes when you're reading a book and you're like thinking, well, that doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't she have met her team members before she's literally on the job site? You know, why is this the first time she's meeting them? I need to learn the lesson myself, especially to be kinder to other writers, because it's almost certain that they have thought of that and they wanted to include it, but it had to be cut for time. So I've been looking, like when I did my reread over the weekend, I saw a lot of like things that were really good, but like definitely things that could be cut and like melded into other things to save words. And it's like, oh, well, this probably is what would happen in a real version of these events. However, I don't have time for that. I've got to get a move on, anyway. So it is now 9:30. I have 1,500 words to write, and I have been yapping for too long. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to be sitting at my desk. Yes, aren't you proud of me for this? We'll just see how it goes. I'm hopeful that the setup and being out of the chair and being really motivated to get back on top of the words will help me get back on top of the words. So let's get to it. All right, y'all, it is 10:45 and I fear I have nothing more to give. I am so tired. I've written like maybe one paragraph in the last 20 minutes. So I'm going to call it here. I only got 1,337 words. I'm gonna show my ass a little bit and say that my words were leet. I wanted to try and I've got a good idea for how the rest of the scene is gonna go. And I'm kind of excited about it, but like my brain is it's just not, I can't form words anymore. So unfortunately not 2,000, but 1,337, 1,337, bringing my grand manuscript total up to 43,909. Oh, which means if I had just gotten 91 more words, I'd be at 44,000, but oh well. So this is a good place to stop it. Again, I have a pretty good idea of how the rest of the scene is going to go. So I will be able to pick it right back up tomorrow. So that's what I'm going to do. I had entertained the idea of hosting a late night live stream for tomorrow, but I do fear that I am getting sick. My son was sick earlier this week with a sore throat. It didn't turn out to be COVID or strep throat or the flu. We're not really sure what it was, but it passed for him pretty quickly. And now my throat is starting to feel a little bit sore. So I don't know that I'll be able to have a late night stream tomorrow. If I'm feeling up to it, I will just go ahead and post it, but I'm not going to schedule one. I don't know why I'm telling you guys all this, because by the time that this video goes out, that will be a week's old news. I do want to get back into live streaming. It's just harder on the weekends where I have the kids, which I do have. And my son has been grounded all week for grades related purposes. And if he gets them back up by tomorrow, then he will be ungrounded. And then he is almost certainly going to want to catch up in Pokemon because we haven't been able to play together all week. So there's that. And then the fact that I'm not feeling well. Anyway, it's just, I don't know that a live stream will happen tomorrow. It may, who knows? I may feel so like excited and energized that I'll want to do it. But for now, it is not looking strong. I'm gonna go ahead and go to bed. I will be writing tomorrow. I just don't know that I'll be streaming. So we'll see you then. Hey y'all, it is now Friday evening and I just wrapped up my little slumber party live stream, which if you may recall from yesterday, I wasn't even sure I was gonna do today, but there was some interest in my community tab on YouTube and I didn't wanna bail after putting it out there that I was gonna do it. And I'm glad that I did. It was a little bit rough for me in the lead up just because I'm not feeling super great. I've got a little bit of a throat issue. That's a cold that's going through the house. It's making my throat hurt and making me feel tired. And I've also got a headache and I'm also really tired, but I'm really glad that I did it. Glad I got to connect with my fellow writer friends, but also I got a shit ton of writing done actually. I came into the live stream with a grand total of 4 words on the day. I did try and look at it while I was on my lunch break at work, but it just wasn't happening today. I was telling my coworker that like the synapses were just not firing today. I could not make myself think about anything too mentally strenuous. So, which
hearing it out loud doesn't sound great, but that's not what I meant. So I came into the sprint with 4 words, and I finished the day with 1,621. And I really did think that I was going to push through for 2,000, but I just hit a wall just now. And so tomorrow, I've got some plans. I would like to check into Cody's Saturday morning live stream, if he's still having it. I hope he is. It would help me out a lot. My daughter just expressed an interest in going to the library. I thought maybe I could combine those 2 activities, but they open at 10, just from the fact that I'm up so late. And she was like, that seems really early. We should go in the afternoon. So now I'm thinking I'll do the live stream here, and then we will go to the library and I'll get some more done at the library. And then I would also like to go to the bookstore. And I also need to go like Bath and Body Works. I need some more lotion and some stuff. So just a little bit of shopping and a little bit of self-care. I do have more than just the manuscript to work on this weekend. I have a paper. I did manage to start it while I was waiting for the live stream to start. So I've gotten the first like criteria done out of 5, which I thought would be the hardest part, but as I looked at over the rest of the like the instructions, I was like, oh, this is actually the easiest part, which I should have expected. It's the first bit. I'm already tired of this. This is only my 3rd paper out of my 8-week class. I'm already tired of it. I got a B on my first paper right before I started writing this one, and I was like offended that it was a B. And I was like, you gave me a B on the first paper of the class? Calm down. It's Principles of Management. Okay, how hard could it be? My advisor assured me that this class would be easy, and then I get into the syllabus and it's literally multiple papers a week. I've got that to at least work on. I would like to hit there's 5 criteria. I'd like to hit points 2 and 3, and then maybe do 4 and 5 on Sunday and have that all knocked out. That's kind of my plan. Right now, I am only sitting at not even 3,000 words for the week, which is a problem if I want to hit 12,000. So I'm going to set a soft goal of 10,000. 10,000 seems a little bit more doable for a weekly total at the moment, because I can do 7,000. I can do like 4,000 tomorrow and then 3,000 on Sunday, probably. And then my stretch goal will be the 12,000. The good news is that I hit an interesting stride during the live stream. There was a moment as I was trying to wrap up the scene I was in and move into the next bit, which I thought would be a whole other scene. Something interesting happened plot-wise, and at first I wasn't really sure what to do with it, and there is still some tweaking that needs to be done. I answered my own question mid-sentence. It's one of those things where it's like you're supposed to ask questions about it, but it's not like something that comes up. Anyway, it needs to be refined. It's not a perfect idea because it literally occurred to me like mid-scene, but as I was processing through that, I just realized the next scene I was going to write, it also just needs to be cut, and I'm just going to go straight into the pinch point. That's going to be a couple of chapters, probably like 3, and since I'm sitting at 45,000 words, I think that'll get me pretty close to the midpoint. And I am sitting, according to my word count tracker, I'm at 38%. So if the pinch point is supposed to be at 40%, I'm in really good shape. Okay, come on. You are so annoying right now. She's literally on my desk, like she owns the place. So if the pinch point is supposed to be at 40%, then I'm almost there. I'm so sorry for the quality of this clip. I am just so tired in dealing with this. So, it's 12:30 and I have nothing more to add. So I will check in with you guys tomorrow. Like I said, I'm hoping to pop into a live stream if it's still going on. What are you doing? Maybe going to the library and getting more done there. And yeah, you'll be along for every step of the ride. That doesn't make any sense. For every step of the way, along for the ride. Carrie Ann, go to sleep.
Hello, good morning. It is now Saturday morning, and I have just arisen a little under the weather, as you could probably tell. But that is not the worst news. The worst news is that I woke up this morning and my first thought was I have to get rid of a bunch of those words that I wrote last night. I had a kind of plan for this chapter that I just started last night, and when I was drafting it during the sprints, it kind of veered off of that. And
And this portion that I wrote is largely unnecessary. It's more of that narrating the very mundane tasks. They walked upstairs, they found seats at the table, they listened to the instructor. It's just like they don't need that. I can summarize all of that more efficiently. And that's what I had originally planned to do. But I just get into this flow where I'm describing every single action, and it's really not necessary. So unfortunately, I'm going to be rewriting that, which is a big bummer because I'm already down a bunch of words and looking at having to write 7,000 words over the course of the weekend. So now it's going to be 7,500. It is what it is. It'll make the draft better. I'd rather just do it now than continue to go off course, because if I continue the way that it is, it's just going to continue to get bogged down. Cody's live stream is just about to get started. So I am going to sit here and utilize that to get the writing going. I have not eaten breakfast yet. I do need to do that at some point. And then we'll just see how the day progresses from there. That's about it. Let's get into this stream and hopefully get some more efficient words done. Okay, so I just did the math because I hadn't actually done that despite having a specific word count goal for the weekend. But I just did the math, and I need 11,000 words, just about. It's actually 10,850, but let's call it 11,000. That is counting the words I just got rid of. That's a lot to get to the 12,500 that I had set out to do. If I get 5,400 or so, I will hit 50K. That will be my softest of soft goals. And then my medium goal will be to get to just over 50K, which would be 10,000. For the week. We've got quite a bit to do. There was a lot more words in this chapter than I thought. There was over 800 already. Oh geez. Why are you like this? My computer does not deserve this. And no respect for my lap at all. The good news is that I'm getting into a sequence that I think will be really interesting. It's the first brush with the antagonist, and it is supposed to be revealing a major plot point to the main character. Because of the way that I've been approaching this B plot and stuff, some things have been changed. So there's a little bit of an element of mystery as well. Yeah, like I said, I hadn't done the math yet, and I was I should probably figure out what my actual target is so that I'm not just throwing words into the wind. Yes, I went back and I looked at what I had before I started on Thursday. Target of 55,000 for the weekend, and I'm currently sitting at 44,000 and change. So, all right, that's it. Let's get started for real this time. It is now quite a bit later. Let's just say that all of the things I set out to do today, not all of them are happening. Most of them aren't happening. I'm just feeling kind of crappy. Obviously, I've got some sort of ick. I got up and immediately sat down with a live stream and tried to write. I didn't get a ton done, maybe 500 words, so I didn't even make up the full 800 that I had erased. And then I ate lunch. And then after I ate lunch, I decided I needed to take a nap. I woke up a little bit early this morning after going to bed super late last night and was not able to go back to sleep. So I knew that at some point I was probably going to need one. And after eating, it just felt like the right time. I told my daughter, who wanted to go to the bookstore with me, that we're probably going to have to do it tomorrow. She's cool with that. So we're pushing the bookstore off until tomorrow. Now it is just after 3 o'clock and I am back in my chair and I am going to reattempt some more writing. With all of that in mind, do I still want to go for the big weekend of writing and get what is at this moment 10,000 words? Yeah, I do. I'm not going to lie about that. I do want to get the 10,000 words. And the fact that I have done 10,000 words in about this exact same amount of time before is kind of ruining me because I'm I know I can do it. So why not just do it? Bearing that in mind, I do have some other obligations this weekend. I have a paper that I need to finish writing, which I'm hating. I started it last night, but I need to finish it. I could probably finish it tomorrow if pressed. So I am for the moment going to focus on writing for the evening. I do also have to film a video, which I have already scripted. I don't anticipate that taking more than 20 or 25 minutes. I also want to film a TikTok. Again, that shouldn't take very long either. And that's it. Those are my obligations for the night. So it's 3 o'clock, 3:30, just let's say. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch some AuthorTube. I'm going to do some cross-stitching, and I am going to write intermittently. until I get into a flow, and then I will just be writing. Because unfortunately, the sick is just making like it hard for my brain to think of what it wants to say. And so I think I just need to get into a flow. Like I said, this sequence I'm about to start is going to be really exciting. It's new stuff. It's plot heavy. It's forward movement. So I see a version of myself really getting into it and pounding out the next 3 chapters really easily if I can get into the flow. That being said, the last time I did 10,000 words in 36 hours, I was still in the portion of the draft where I was borrowing heavily from draft 1, and this is all new stuff. All new. None of this has been written before because this is the part of Act 2 that I'm completely redoing. So anyway, that just makes it a little bit more slow and difficult to accomplish 10,000, but I'm not saying I can't do it. In fact, I am saying that I will do it. Watch this space. Hey, just very quickly, I just wanted to say something. I was watching YouTube videos on my TV, and the autoplay is on. I don't know how to turn it off on my TV, and so after one video ended, it rolled into one of my videos, and it was the very first video of of the first draft of Seekers from about 13 months ago. And in the video, I said that I had 95 subscribers, and I am now sitting at over 450. So I have gotten over 300 subscribers in a year. And I just think that is like, I don't know. I just had a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, what a different place I am in now. And I'm so grateful. Like, I'm so grateful for every one of you. And I'm so grateful for all of you who were there before that video too. It was just kind of a moment where I was like, what a difference a year makes. You know, I'm now fully in draft 2. I've made so many wonderful friends. Last night, I did a live stream where it was truly just like such a fun time hanging out, being productive, and I'm looking forward to doing more. Anyway, it was just a moment. And anyway, I just wanted to show gratitude to all of you and looking forward to the next year and whatever that may bring. Okay, y'all, it is much later. I think. I can't even remember the last time I talked to you, but it is 8:40 right now. And I have written 1,111 words today. Unfortunately, only 231 of that is net. If I want to hit 50K today, which was my intention, I still need to write 4,330 words. It's looking like a no, but I just finished my filming for the day. I filmed and edited and posted my TikTok, which I did cross-post over here if you want to check it out. And I did film my video for that you will have already seen from this last Tuesday. That was my dog trying to get after food that she has no right to. Oh shit, I better get that cleaned up before she eats it. Anyway, I finished all of my other obligations except for writing my paper, which I'm just gonna have to do tomorrow. I've thought about it, and I think I know how I'm gonna approach this next section. So it hasn't all been for naught. It's just like I have not had the brain space for it. I finished the scene that I was in. I rewrote the whole thing. I introduced a character that I've been intending to introduce for a while. Not really. I mean, I've been thinking about her for a while. Basically, I just don't think my cast is large enough. It's very insular, and it just doesn't jive with what I feel like would be accurate for, you know, the setting and a secret government agency and everything and all the bureaucracy. So anyway, I found a way to get her in there, introduced her, excited about that, and now I am moving into the actual action sequence. So, well, sort of. I mean, it's forward movement. I don't want to say it's like a fight scene because it's not, but it is like the antagonist has appeared and done a thing, and now they have to go to the site of the thing and try and confront the antagonist, but the antagonist is not going to be there. She would already have escaped. So it's just like confronting the aftermath of the thing that happened. And so anyway, like I said, forward movement, kind of action, but not a fight necessarily. So anyway, I don't know how much I'm going to get done tonight. It is close to 9 o'clock. Like I said, I did take a nap today, but I was telling my son earlier at like 6:30 that I was feeling tired again. And that's just all of this. I'm just going to do as much as I can possibly do, and I'll have to make peace with that. It is what it is. It's not perfect, but it's life. Hello, good morning. It is now Sunday morning. And as you can probably tell, this weekend has been a little bit wonky. And last night was no different. I very much did not hit my goal of getting to 50,000 words. But something interesting did happen. I was sitting here in the recliner for most of the evening, intermittently writing, cross-stitching, watching TV, hanging out with the kids, working on homework. I sort of hit a wall with the project and decided I was going to just go ahead and be done. I had written something like 1,400 words on the day, but only like 650 of that was net after I took away, like 800 words. But I worked on my project a little bit, my paper. I am now 2/3 of the way done, so I still need to finish that this morning. Then I went to bed, and I was laying in bed, and I started getting ideas, as I tend to do when I am laying down about to go to sleep. And the amazing thing is, normally when I would get ideas when I'm laying in bed, I would just open my notes app and write down the ideas. But I've recently remembered that because I use a cloud-based word processor called Dabble, that I can write from anywhere, not just a computer, and not just any computer, but also my phone. And so I had downloaded like the page, the home, like the Dabble page as an icon to my home screen, like it was an app. And I was able to get into it and directly write down the next line that I had thought of once I laid down. And then I turned my phone off and I put it down and I laid back down. And then the next line came to me. And then the next line. And then the next. And before I knew it, I had spent almost an hour adding the next several paragraphs and words to the scene. And because of the way that the phone, the mobile page works, I can't see how many I'm adding. And so I really truly did not know how much I had written until I got up this morning and opened up my computer. Reader, I added 689 words from my bed and my phone. My total ended up being almost 1,400 words net on the day. But that was just a sort of I don't have to just write down vague ideas in my notes app and hope I remember the exact sequence. I can just go into my draft from my phone and just add them there. And that was really, really nice. And because like I said, that twilight period of wakefulness and sleepiness right before you go to sleep, for me anyway, is so fruitful creatively, obviously. So yeah, it was really good. And not only that, I'm kind of really excited about where I'm at in the scene. And I'm starting to feel really excited again about the plot and about the draft as in general, because I was starting to feel like it was being bogged down a little bit. And I think that making the decision to just skip certain scenes and sequences that we're going to act as a bridge, I think cutting them was a smart idea. I am now a little tiny bit concerned that I'm not going to hit 60K for the midpoint because I've cut so much, but oh well. I mean, I made 120K my target for this draft, knowing that draft 3 I'm going to be aiming for 100K again. So knowing that I'm being intentionally verbose in this one in order to just get ideas out on the page and then cut them later. So I'm not super concerned if I don't actually hit 60K. It might actually end up helping me in the long run. The problem of my B plot persists. I think I have an okay idea of how I want to proceed, but it's it just creates so many more problems because it's supposed to be part of the midpoint. And then the idea that I had to fix it moves the reveal until well after the midpoint. So then it's okay, well then how do I make the midpoint work? So I'm still kind of hoping on some magic coming to me. It is now 11 in the morning. I got up and I immediately opened up the draft to see how many words I wrote, and then I just added a little bit more to it. So I'm currently sitting at literally just over 47,001 words. Because my brain likes even numbers, I thought if I could get to 47,500 today, that would make it a nice even number if I wanted to try for 12,000 next weekend. I'm not so much of a stickler for that I will, hamstring myself in order to hit that number. If I want to keep going, I'm going to keep going regardless. With that said, I do still have a paper, and I did promise my daughter that we would go to the bookstore. So we didn't go yesterday because I was feeling crappy. I'm still feeling pretty crappy, but well enough that I think I can take her to the bookstore. And I haven't been in a while either, so I think it's probably a good idea that we go. And then I have to edit a video, and then just regular Sunday stuff. I have to stop and get the groceries, laundry, cleaning up, yada yada. Regular Sunday stuff. My football team is on their bye week, so I don't have any football. So I'm trying to cram as much crap into it away from my TV as I can. it's just a rare opportunity to fully use my Sunday without sitting down and watching football. But anyway, so yeah, that's my plan. My plan is to leave for the bookstore in about an hour. So for the next hour, I'm going to try and knock out as much of this paper as possible. It would be nice if I could get it done, but I'm not certain of that. So I just have 2 more criteria. That's all. And then something else I would really like to get done today is writing my Substack post, because last week I wrote it on the day I was going to post it, and it made it feel a little bit rushed and just a little bit like I was feeling pressed for time, and I don't want to do that. So I would like also to pre-write my Substack post, at least partially. I've got it all outlined out, unlike last time, so it shouldn't take too long. But anyway, so that's my plan. I apologize for the chaos that this vlog has been, starting on a Thursday, getting sick, and stating goals that were wildly out of my capabilities considering everything. It's been a little bit of a journey, and I've made some interesting discoveries that I'm kind of excited about. I can't even remember what I said, so I'm just gonna shut up and get to work, and I'll check in with you guys later. Hey y'all, just a really quick update. I am now post bookstore run and post nap, which wasn't even a nap. I just laid in bed for an hour and a half and scroll on TikTok, which will be proud of me that I actually managed to break the cycle and get out of bed myself and close it and all of that. But I'm just about to sit down and finish writing my paper. It is, oh boy, just about 5 o'clock. So I'm going to finish my paper, and my plan is to do some editing, some video editing, probably make dinner and do some laundry, and oh look, my battery's almost dead. Let's do this fast. Okay, quick bookstore haul. Emily Tesh, The Incandescent. I've just heard lots of things about it. I keep borrowing it from the library and then failing to read it, so I just picked it up. And I don't really know anything about it, but it's blurbed by a lot of people that I was excited about. So Tasha Suri, Ollie P. Blake, Freya Marsk, Shelley Parker Chan, Alex E. Harrow. So I bought this strictly off the blurbs, which just goes to show you that they work. Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I read this last year, really, really liked it, and yeah, really no other reason than I just really liked it. Fireborn by Rosario Munda. Again, another book that I've just heard really, really great things about. I think it's a YA, so I'm a little bit dubious, but this is another book that I've checked out from the library probably enough times that the royalties that Rosario Munda will get them from this will feed her family, and just never got around to reading it. So now I don't have to do that. And then finally, and probably the most unhinged, is this 30-year anniversary edition of Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. Do I have any intention of ever reading this book? Well, now I do. Oh, and then I also got these cute little book lights. So I don't know what I'm going to do with them, because there's really not an outlet close to my bookshelf, which is where I'd like to put them, to plug them in. But we're going to figure it out. Okay, and that's it, because my battery is dying, so I'm going to get to work, and I will check in with y'all later. Hello and good morning. It is now Monday morning, and I am here to wrap up this vlog for you, because I never actually got back to the draft yesterday. I wrote a little tiny bit when I first got up, maybe 200 words. And then I just never made it back. I posted in the Storyteller Society Discord about my problem with this B plot and how I'm really, really having a hard time figuring out how to integrate it, and basically asking for help and like, hey, give me some ideas. I can't tell if my side mirror is broken or if it's just like a spider web over it. I guess I would know for sure if it was broken and not just a spider web, so I'm guessing it's just a spider web. And they gave me some really good ideas, and some of the things I had already considered, like moving the big reveal, because there's a couple of reveals, but moving the bulk of it to the end of Act 2 instead of before the midpoint, and like letting some of the reveals like thrust the main character into the midpoint. And I was like, okay, yeah, I had kind of considered that, so maybe that's what I'll go with. But the problem is that leaves me without a midpoint. Anyway, so I after I got everything done last night, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go lay down in my chair and think about it. But I also low-key knew that laying down in the chair was 1000% going to result in me falling asleep, and it did pretty quickly. I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I have been sick all weekend, and I'm still, a little bit. I just was so tired. And so it was like 9:30, and I just knew that, like, okay, I'm gonna lay down and start thinking, but I'm gonna go to sleep, and I did. And so unfortunately, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And so I woke up this morning still without any idea of how to proceed with this B plot. And I think, I know I've said this before, but I truly think that I'm just going to forget about it and just let it come out naturally. I don't like counting on that. I am a big planner. I want to know. I was saying last night in the Discord that one of my biggest anxieties about writing is writing and spending a bunch of time on something that I know is going to get thrown away. I don't want to spend a lot of time and energy and effort on something that I know is going to get scrapped. What is the point of that? It doesn't yield me anything. It's just a big waste of time. And I know, anyway, I know that's not always true, but that's my neuroses. And so I have a little bit of anxiety about proceeding without figuring out what I'm gonna do, especially since I am so close to the midpoint. I am at 40% right now. And I'm getting into this big sequence that'll probably be 2 or 3 chapters worth of words. And then I'll be at 50%, or at least 50% of where I should be based on my word count projections. And I still don't know what I'm gonna do. And so I'm starting to panic a little. But nothing that happens at the midpoint will change what's about to happen. So I'm just gonna write these chapters and hope. That's all I can do, is hope that something occurs to me. I mean, I still have the old version, sort of. It has been radically changed since the outline, just realizing that I don't really have time to kind of go through the order of operations the way I planned it, and that it would be really boring to do it that way anyway. I still have a way to trigger the original midpoint. I just don't know if I love it. If I get there and I have to do it that way, then I'll do it that way just to move on. But I'm just I was really hoping that draft 3 would be cleanup and not major rewrites again. Isn't that the whole point of being a detailed outliner, is that you don't have to do all of these structural edits ad nauseum? I'm also just feeling bummed because I was sick all weekend, so I didn't get nearly as much done as I wanted to. I took my kids to the bookstore yesterday, but I also wanted to go to Bath & Body Works, and I wanted to go to the store and get some more candles. Anyway, and it's just I didn't have the energy. So anyway, it's just been a big bummer of a weekend. So I'm feeling a little bit bummed, but it's a new week. And I ended up my word count total, I don't have it in front of me, but in such a way where I could, if I did 12,000 words this week, it would be a nice round number, and it would put me at exactly 60,000 words, which is not just the midpoint, but if you remember all the way back when I was doing my 12-week writing challenge planning, I was oh, every 30,000 words, I'll give myself a reward. And my 60,000 word reward was a bundt cake for myself. I don't have the kids this weekend, so it would be a perfect time to buy myself a bundt cake. I'm gonna use the lure of potential red velvet bundt cake and actually hitting the midpoint, as anxious as I feel about that and as murky and shadowed as it feels in my mind right now, to push me through. But anyway, that's for next week's vlog. For now, thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. If you like my content and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe, or consider leaving a comment down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please let me know what the hardest plotting problem you have ever had to solve. I need some commiseration. In my next video, I hope to finally have my author A to Z tag ready for you. I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then. Bye.